and you want to watch it, you want spoilers, please wait till you've seen it and then come back and watch. As you probably saw in my upload earlier, uh, it was horrible. It was horrible in a way that TLJ was horrible, but it was more subtle. Okay. First off, I just want that merry little band of rebels to die now because none of them are compelling. You've got a guy that's obviously American or Canadian playing one, and he is doesn't trust Andor, doesn't trust him, and gives him shit all the time. You've got the short dwarf-like dude who is a true believer. He even wrote a manifesto. So you get to hear this hilarious quasi-Marxist screed written by a guy who's a neo-fascist, if you ask me. And it's like, I had to skip over that part. I didn't watch that part. The moment that shithead opened his mouth and started yammering, I fast forward. They spent an awful lot of time on Aldhani. Okay. It is a very disjointed story. Okay. There are too many characters, first off. It's enough to have Andor, Luthen Rawl, and Mon Mothma and her husband without having, and of course, the Imperial Security Bureau without having everybody else. You know what I'm saying? There are too many stories to keep track of, and the stories that are supposed to be compelling are not compelling enough. I'm talking about Aldhani because they're not well written. The characters on Aldhani, from the chief chick to the lowest of the low to that Imperial lieutenant, they're not well written. They're well acted. They're not well written. And right when I thought the woke shit was really overblown by actors, let me explain something. Actors, and if you're an actor, I'm not insulting you in particular, but when you look at today's celebrities, Mark Ruffalo, even Mark Hamill, George Clooney, and a few other, they're dumb. They're stupid. They're not, actors are not intelligent people. Okay, just get that set in your head. Okay, so we've got that to deal with, okay? And when we've got people like Fiona Shaw, who plays Marva, and oh, by the way, her last name is Andor. That's where Andor, I believe, gets his name, okay, his last name. She, when she said something about Trumpian, you know, it's like, he's not even president. The fuck is wrong with you? You know, when you've got the chick that's playing Dedra, the Imperial Security Bureau officer, I'm a boss chick, and this is about how feminism and women were treated by the Empire. You're an officer in the Imperial Security Bureau, okay? So already you're 10 times higher in rank than most everybody else in the Empire, so shut the fuck up, sweetheart. Okay, just shit like that. Tony Gilroy comparing Mon Mothma to Nancy Pelosi. I hate her, but I have reason to hate her. That is beyond the usual. I'm a Republican, because I'm not. I actually met her. I had to work with her and her staff. It was like her staff, if you broke out the crayons and coloring books, they might have figured out what you were talking about. But she herself is a condescending, power-hungry, old bitch. Now, I haven't met Hillary Clinton, so, uh, I can't compare, but, you know, it's just like, so, no, that drove people away. This is how disconnected these dumb motherfuckers are. Okay, and I do mean this. Congress right now is the lowest rating that it has had in decades. Okay, in decades. Even in passing, I was scrolling through email and Instagram, and even Puck has been talking about the post Pelosi era. They expect to lose. Okay. They don't like her. But this idiot, Tony Gilroy, my nothing's just like Nancy Pelosi. Oh, God. People scatter. Independents scatter. Democrats who hate her scatter. Republicans are like, you know, that was a dumb thing to say. But this is a fact that these people do not realize how glaringly unpopular that fucking bitch is. Okay, now let's go further. We get to the former corporate deputy security guy. He goes home, and oh, by the way, his mother is played by the older lady who played Cleopatra's slave in the TV show Rome. And he's there, and it's just, see, the thing I hate about this is it's saccharine. This whole story is saccharine. It doesn't, there's no soul to it. I think that's another thing that people who are kind of like mystified by it and don't really like it, there's no soul to it. You can't say that about Kenobi. You can't say that even about Boba Fett. And Boba Fett was a very mediocre show, but at least they tried to do something with it. This is very saccharine. This is a show written by SJWs, okay, and there's no life to it. The only time you ever see any life is when Luthen Rawls on the screen. Okay, so let's get back to the little merry band of rebels on Altani and Blondie. Now, Blondie is the boss, okay, and she's a cunt. She's not even a good boss. She's not even a good leader. She is a cunt. And Andor is basically getting fitted for his Imperial uniform by that not so attractive brunette. And all of a sudden, and before that, there's a point where the guy that doesn't like Andor says basically, she's warming somebody else's bed. Okay. So it's like, because Andor is going, like that. Oh, and if you can hit the likes, please do that. That helps what little algorithm YouTube lets me have. So you're kind of wondering what that meant, like which of the guys, because naturally a normal human being would think that, oh, but this is Tony Gilroy. Okay. He had to put a little bit of woke in this, and this completely took me out of the story. All right. There's a part where he's getting fitted out for his uniform. And he's kind of flirting with the girl, and she's actually flirting back. And Blondie gets pissed. Okay, now you put two and two together. Then you see when they get to the spot part where they signal that lieutenant, Blondie and the other one go off together. Like, it's like, there's no soul to this. And throwing a lesbian relationship, it just makes you want to puke, by the way, into this, basically took me out of the story. So when we get to Coruscant, Mon Mothma, we never got to see the dinner with Sly Moore. What the fuck? I felt like I was promised something really cool and some sort of imperial court intrigue. Instead, we get breakfast table with Daddy with the douche knot in his in his hair, and bratty daughter who's fat, by the way, and gross, as all teenagers nowadays are, is just being a bitch to her mother. And then Daddy's kind of actually encouraging her. I was like, is this Star Wars or some family drama on Lifetime, for fuck's sake? Okay, so get out of there, and there's more stuff going on Honey. On the march up to the place where they're going to signal the lieutenant, the American or Canadian actor grabs, hey Joe, grabs Andor's crystal. And it's not just a kyber crystal, it's a sky crystal. Okay, so, which is interesting, a sky crystal. And he's basically saying, I knew you were lying, I knew you weren't who you said you were, and blah, blah, blah. And they start kind of getting at it. And Andor's about ready to pull his blaster. And the black guy in the group screams at him to stop, and then cunt face shows up and calms the situation. Okay. I don't know what that point was for, but of course, if you want attention in the group, fine. Just do it, make it better. So anyway, going forward, okay. What I love about it is I get the feeling that Andor is very much a ladies' man, and I'm still trying to figure out how. It was very valuable. It's like the guy basically doesn't realize that it's worth a lot more than 50,000 credits, and it's very valuable. And I don't know why the guy thought if Andor had it that he wasn't who he said he was. Okay, then Andor says, "Yeah, I was paid to come here. I was paid to come here," and that kind of changes everything, because then they realize they have a full-blown mercenary in their midst, not a true believer. So it's like, okay, and that does change everything, because he basically says, I'm sticking my neck out for you people, which this is like the very deeply discounted Han Solo here. Okay, there's no masculine energy in this guy. Okay, he's too short. He looks like a beta cock. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't like him. So we get back to Coruscant, and you've got Mon Mothma and her husband, who, if he ever washes his hair and ever takes that stupid fucking douche knot out of his hair, I'll be happy. Maybe he gets his hair cut. Okay, I fucking hate that shit. Are in a car, and they're talking, and it's like, it's just, and then they get into kind of a tiff, and then he says to the driver, take the expressway. That's what I thought. I thought I would share that. I mean, that was it. That's all we saw of Mon Mothma. Finally, we get to Luthen. And this is the very end of the show. We get to Luthen, and he's setting up his comms so he can actually listen for when they signal that they were successful, right? And he looks pretty shaken and worried when what's her name, Clea, his assistant, walks in and basically says there's nothing you can do about it. And you're gonna have to calm down. And there was a very kind of intense conversation. But the whole time he's standing there, you see the Jedi and the Sith holocron behind him, which was, I love that. I think that's great. That was the best part of the show. That was the only part of the show that I liked. The rest of it, I didn't care about that Imperial lieutenant. I didn't care. I don't, maybe if we get into more into the ISB, we'll get more of an idea of what is really going on. But as far as the show being good, it's the worst episode yet. I mean, I'm sorry to say that. It is, people are like, you don't like a slow burn. It's like, it's not a slow burn. It's not a slow anything. It's not. It's like they're taking a one episode story, or maybe a 2 episode story, 2 part story, and stretching it out into 12 episodes. You know, I am literally absolutely, I feel like my time has been wasted today with this. But I'm glad I did not wake up early like I was going to watch it. I am going to wake up early when Tales of the Jedi comes out. I cannot wait to see that. Qui-Gon, a young Qui-Gon Jinn, a younger Dooku, and all the rest. Hey, hard work. It's really not. I don't know what the point is, but I think the problem that I had most, and I probably would have liked it most, if they'd have kept the dykes out of it. Maybe if that girl was with the guy that hated Andor, there would have been more of a. There really isn't. There's a reason to mistrust Cassian, but the hate the guy has is like it doesn't make any sense. And the only thing I could see to save that would be to have that guy be with one of the women. Hey, yeah, it's okay, hard work. You're not that late. So I'm like, I don't understand why they're doing this. Why this is, if they were so worried about the series being slow, they should have cut this arc to 6 episodes. It should be ending now. And they should add, all right, then we have 6. Then another arc of 6 episodes. Okay. Then next season could be, it's going to be 12 episodes, could be 8 episodes or whatever. Okay. They don't need to do 12 episodes. This is torturous. And I'm going to say this. I love Mandalorian. I love it. The reason why is because it has soul. It's Star Wars. It's good guys and bad guys. It's everything a fan wants. You've got Jedi, you've got the underworld, you've got Hutts around in Boba Fett. You've got bounty hunters. You've got Imperial remnants. You've got mysterious Jedi younglings. All this shit that's great, right? What rules were those, hard work? Because I don't know what you're talking about. And I don't think that they had anything to do with telling the story. But anyway, this is just horrible comparing it to Mandalorian 1 and 2. It is just horrible comparing it to the Book of Boba Fett. It is just horrible, beyond horrible when comparing it to Kenobi. Okay, hate Kenobi if you want. It doesn't break canon. The fact that we finally got to see Kenobi and Vader face off made me want to cry. Okay, it was beautiful. Again, I could have actually done without Moses Ingram. She's not a bad actress. I'm not criticizing her as a human being. I'm just saying that her character should have been better written. Okay, that's my only bitch. But as far as like storytelling goes, Kenobi was a lot better. And you got a sense of the Clone Wars. You got a sense of the prequels, okay? Regardless if you like them or not. And, I'm getting to the point where if you don't like the prequels, fuck you. You're not much of a fan then. it just told a good story. I don't think those had anything to do with any of that. In fact, I don't think the woke inclusion rules had anything to do with this. Uh, so I really wouldn't even bring that up. Tony, I mean, when you've got people who are married to this woke shit and think they're going to get jobs for it, they're going to put subtle things in this, okay? And really, I don't really think that those rules, if they even exist, applied here, because look, the empire is very diverse. Okay, you have black, imperial officers. You have female ISB officers. You've got all kinds of people that would not have otherwise been in Star Wars or in working for the Empire. And now as somebody was complaining that that the Empire is too diverse, and that's a change Gilroy made. Okay, because in Rogue One they were all white men. Okay, and now in Andor you've got Asian Imperials, you've got Black Imperials, you've got female Imperials, you've got Latino, etc. Okay, so that's pretty diverse. And it kind of makes me laugh because now the bad guys are diverse. So really, it kind of really takes the narrative away in some ways. But again, the biggest problem were the two women. I don't understand why that had to be in there. Were inclusion rules involved? No, I think Gilroy wanted it. I think Kennedy said, sure, go for it. That was the deal. And this, look, I'm gonna tell you something. Billy Eichner, who was the creator of this awful soft gay porn rom-com called The Boys, or Bros, is pissed off because it's a failure. Who does it appeal to? About 2% of the population. And what part of that population does it really appeal to? Not many. Okay, not many. The fact of the matter is, my friends who are gay were more interested in Hocus Pocus 2, and I said, great, go watch it and have fun. I'm not going to. Than they were for this. Why? Because they knew what it was. They know what it was, and they've got. The story is just it's a groomer's story on steroids. Okay, I'm not going to talk about what I heard, but it is. People stayed away. It's a failure. He's blaming us straight people. Here's a problem. There's a backlash starting to form. Okay, and Hollywood is too stupid to see it. Okay. Now, when you've got basically the biggest agent in Hollywood, Brian Lord, who's also a gay, you got to see his boyfriend. But that guy's the creepiest looking dude I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Brian Lord dumped Carrie Fisher for this. Hi, Mickey, how you doing? Well, I'll get to your question. They're not getting any bang for their buck anymore because people are starting to get like, fuck you. And I'll tell you something else. The issue with the groomers and the trans and the fact that a lot of, I'm just going to say this, a lot of these very radicalized gays that teach in school are causing this. Parents are taking their kids out of school. Parents are demanding the school board do something about this. We don't want our kids hearing this shit. He's a kindergartner. Stay away from our kids. It is going to get to a point where there isn't going to be any of this shit in movies. I think that's a long down the timeline away, but because they weren't satisfied with what they had to push for more, and now it's fucking everywhere, and it's pissing people off. It literally took me out of the show, and now I really kind of don't like it. They were left alone? Cool. Okay, they would have had the American dude with that plain Jane brunette, fine. They'd have had the blonde with, having an abusive love-hate relationship with the dwarf or the black guy, great. Why did they need to have that in it? It basically, hey, Tony Gilroy doesn't want people to watch a show. He did a really good job, okay? A really good job. I mean, there are people in that community that'll walk away from it too, because it's gratuitous. It's not as gratuitous as Admiral Holdo. Not as gratuitous as Claudia Gray's gay, celibate, asexual pilot who looks like Matt McConaughey. It's not that gratuitous, but it's just enough to make somebody say, I am done watching this. Look, I'm going to be very blunt. I don't think those types of relationships are romantic. They disgust me. Okay, I'm going to be very brutally honest here. Okay, I have gay friends. I love them, but and I've never had the conversations with them. And if they ever come here, they'll be horrified. I can't understand it. It's just, Chrissy Mayer posted some pictures. She went to Bros and posted some pictures on Twitter. Oh my God. Oh my God. There's a reason why no one wanted to go to that movie. It really is soft gay porn. It really, really, really is. It's disgusting. It's fucking gross. I don't want to see that. All right. I don't want to get it implied in my favorite franchises. This is why these franchises are being destroyed. And I think people like David Zaslav, Bob Chapek, Kareem Daniel, and a few others in Hollywood know that. I bet you if you asked Brian Lord, he would say, I know that. What do you do about it? You can't, if people keep walking away, eventually no one's going to watch it. It's going to fail. People will be out of work, right? What do you do about it? You quit it. Fucking quit it. Quit doing that. Quit putting shit in things that don't belong. I think it's kind of a fuck you final in some ways with this. The more I think about Kennedy and, her long goodbye coming, the more I think that they did it as a fuck you to the fans. This is why, the High Republic is so gratuitous in some places. This is why, you've got Justina Ireland saying, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my books. Okay, well, you'll be fine as long as Scholastic buys a few 100,000 copies, you cunt. because they sure as ain't selling at Barnes and Noble. All right. That book about Han Solo and Princess Leia, The Princess and the Scoundrel, that didn't sell. It wasn't successful. And I almost felt sorry for the author. She doesn't know anything about, hey Dengar, how you doing? They didn't, she doesn't know anything about romance. She doesn't know anything about Star Wars. She doesn't know anything about Han Solo, nor Leia, after looking at a few of the pages and seeing where she had them on that fucking galactic cruiser. And the fact that she's so stupid. Here's the deal, okay? Go back and watch any of the outtakes or any of the interviews about The Empire Strikes Back. Irv Kershner. He said, I never directed a movie that implied sex. So who do you think was having sex? Vader and the Emperor? Luke and his Tauntaun? No, he's talking about Han and Leia. They never ever said how long the Falcon took to get to Bespin on sublight engines, but it took about 40 days. Some people say 70. What do you think they were doing on that thing? All right? And she's got Leia, a virgin still. It's like, or no, she didn't. She didn't have Leia as a virgin, and people got mad. And it's like, look, I think the way Leia behaved in The Empire Strikes Back and New Hope and all the EU stuff between both movies pretty much shows that she didn't know what the hell she was doing with a man. She was scared to death, okay? And not because she was scared of Han, she was scared of herself, okay? So the idea that she wasn't a virgin is just like, it's just like, fuck you, you fucking oversexed fat pig. If you see who wrote Princess and the Scoundrel, you'll know that I pretty much described her. But it, you know, this shit's got to stop. The writers have to go. They have to find writers who love Star Wars, who are not activists like they did in the EU, and get those people. Get the bullshit out of this. Okay, I would love if I ran Lucasfilm before I came in. Hey, Aladega Outlaw, how you doing? Long time no see, dude. This is a good day. If I was running Lucasfilm right now, or was coming in, let's say like next week they announce after Indiana Jones 5 comes out, Kathleen Kennedy is leaving on the 1st of September or the 1st of October or whatever, a year from Halloween this year. This year is her 10th anniversary, by the way, of taking over Lucasfilm. So I'd have a long transition. I would get together with Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni. I'd get George. I would get some other people that are unhappy with what's going on with Lucasfilm. And I'd get them together and we'd have a brainstorm about what we could do to fix what was wrong. And I would have Bob Chapek and Kareem Daniel there, all right? You have to have someone who's not afraid to go against the woke stuff to tell a story. Miles Teller and did that with The Offer. Tom Cruise did that with Top Gun Maverick. Look at how successful these shows are. Okay. All right. Look. Top Gun Maverick is like what, number 5 on the all-time top 10 list movies? You'd think people in Hollywood would see that and go, oh shit. We've been led astray by the wokesters. Okay. And it's time for, because look, after seeing Kennedy's long ass vacation, Christ was gone in the desert for 40 days. Noah was in the ark for 40 days. Kennedy was gone on a vacation for 40 days. Before Chapek got announced, or before it was publicly announced that he was getting his 3-year deal, she runs away to Portugal. That told me something. All right. People in her position don't do shit like that. Okay. She's a Chinese vase at D23 when when they had Favreau and Filoni come out. Jon Favreau was the one that introduced The Mandalorian to the parks. Okay, not Kathy. And when Harrison Ford walked out to talk about Indiana Jones 5, she backed off and let him do it. Okay, it's not her movie, it's his. Okay, and I do believe after, Doomcock's rumors got to the Daily Mail, which then makes them out in the general public, so everybody knows that she was basically told, we're wiping your doc clean of any movies, streaming shows. I mean, look, The Acolyte. It still might go on, but the only person talking about it is Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, who's hiding behind a black gender fluid girl, another black woman, and a Korean man. So she's basically being a racist and using them for human shields against Chapek, saying we're not going to do this. They're supposed to start filming now. Okay, I follow it I've got a tracker on it with IMDb Pro, and what she's doing is she's announcing new people on IMDb Pro that were already listed. And the only time you ever see Deadline or Variety or Hollywood Reporter get into it is when it's an actor, and that's it. And Kathy Kennedy is not attached, at least that I can see, on any list for this show. She's supposed to be the executive producer. Okay, she's not. She's nowhere to be seen. Now maybe I'll go and look tomorrow and see her name on there, but it tells me that when you've got, here's the thing, when you've got Amanda Stenberg saying she's going to be in the show, and Lucasfilm and Disney didn't not wanting to talk about it, then the Jody something Smith, the other black woman who's going to be in it, and basically they declined to comment. The fucking company who's paying for this are not commenting. But Weinstein's former personal assistant is, because she's the one putting it all out there. They're not. Maybe Kennedy's hiding behind the lesbian. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, no one is talking about it beyond her. And you've got now Tony Gilroy comparing Mon Mothma to Nancy Pelosi. You've got an implied disgusting thing going on between two women in this latest episode of Andor. And I'm like, it looks honestly like it's the final re. And I do believe that when Kareem Daniels, who's black man, and Chapek decide to nix and to just say no to the Acolyte, they're not going to spend the money, you're going to hear reeing all over Hollywood about how racist they are. Doesn't matter if no one wants it, except for a bunch of fake accounts on Twitter. I don't see any clamoring within the fandom for this. Maybe some of the bigger channels that pretend they like everything, but not, you know, in real fan channels. I don't really see Star Wars Theory jumping through hoops for it. You know, it's just, it's ridiculous. And yet she persists with this. So we'll see. Okay, look, I think a lot of this stuff is connected to what's going on with Andor. When Andor got cut back from, oh my God, could you imagine if this was 4 seasons? People would be committing suicide not to watch it anymore. I mean, if you turned it on in a car, you cause car accidents, it's Ambien. Okay. It is, beyond a doubt, the slowest burn I've ever seen. The only time you ever get any little excitement is when Stellan Skarsgård, who is a genius actor in it, and that's it. That's all. That's all you get. Okay. So, what is the issue here? The issue for me is I'm done. I'm done with it. I look. I'm gonna watch it, but I'm not gonna be nice. Okay, and I tried to be nice. It gets a 1.5 for me out of 5. Hey, Anton's World of Videos. Gosh, a lot of cool people here today. But it's just it's pathetically slow. And I loved Kenobi. The episodes were short. The episodes were sweet. The episodes are to the point. Boom, gone. Okay. The episodes felt like George Lucas was standing there watching it happening. All right. There was a heartbeat there. All right. There's none here. From what? Cyril's mother and that saccharine in that saccharine living area talking about his uncle. Who gives a fuck? What? All right. The question is, it would be nice to be able to follow the Imperial Security Bureau officer on her investigation about Andor. It would be nice to know more about this plastic, saccharine-looking little boy who got fired because I have no interest in him. He's literally one of the most boring human beings on the planet. It would be nice to know a little bit more about Luthen Rawl, who's the best character in the show. Every time he's on the screen, no one else is even there. Not even what's her face, Mon Mothma. It's just it's him. Okay, that's the stuff that would work. All right, I don't fucking care about Andor. First off, when they were casting Rogue One, and that short, emasculated little dude walked in, I'd be like, oh God. What is this, the discount Pedro Pascal? Get him out of here. You want the guy that plays that role to be big, to be confident, to have a certain authentic masculinity. Diego Luna has none. Yeah, and that's another thing. Mon Mothma's kid treats her like shit for no reason. And probably we'll find out she hasn't paid any attention to me. For all we know, the kid's gender fluid and Mon Mothma didn't like it. And, and Daddy's there to take care of her. Well, they would need someone like him. Like, I don't know, Anthony Ingruber, but I want Ingruber to come in and when they're going to have to redo Han Solo's story. Because Solo, A Star Wars Stories, just horrible. It's a horrible movie. I mean, if you could find a wimpier guy than Diego Luna to play Han Solo, they did. They did. Okay. But again, you've got a bunch of people making these movies back then, and there's going to be shit still coming out. Okay. Till at least 2024, that are intimidated by masculine men. Okay. Now back to what I was saying about Andor being cut from 5 or 4 seasons to 2, and then that 2 seasons is basically, what is it? 4 3 show arcs, story arcs for the next 4 years. All right. Till right up to Rogue One. Okay. There's a good reason for that. And the show is Siren. The show, there's a good reason for that. And the reason is this is a Kennedy show, and she's leaving. All right. It's done. She doesn't have anything on her slate besides Indy 5. All right. So the black pills need to explain that, and how she's this untouchable goddess like Isis or Minerva or something like that. Anyway, yeah, they should have done a show called Rebellion where he has a couple of episodes. Okay. I want to know more about what was going on in Coruscant. After living in Berlin, when I was studying, Berlin, Germany, and you see the scars, at least back in 95, you see the scars still existing from World War II with Kaiser Wilhelm Gedächtniskirche, which was a beautiful Lutheran church, and it had been bombed out, and all there's like half a spire, and they left it that way as a memorial. Okay. Walk past a building on the east and have your friend say, that's the Luftwaffe ministry. That was what that was. It's like, you're standing by the Brandenburg Gate, and you suddenly realize you could be standing on Hitler's bunker. Okay. And of course, the scars from when the communists were in the East, when they, there's a certain feeling in a city that's been haunted and owned by destructive, really evil people. Okay. And you get a hint of that, but you don't get enough. Coruscant finally looked like Coruscant, okay? But it needs to look like this all the time. I want to know more about what's going on there. That would have been interesting. Mon Mothma, where's Bail Organa, for Christ's sakes? He was one of the leaders of the goddamn rebellion, wasn't he? Or are we not allowing the Latino actor who played him to have a role? Okay. I mean, it's his adopted daughter that basically carries the stuff for the Death Star. Anyway, I gotta go. I want to get a workout in before my husband comes home. But anyway, yeah, there's too much representation, or he's a guy, But yeah, I give this episode 1.5 out of 5 because they did not need that lesbian relationship. I don't, as far as rules are, this show was being filmed the last 2 years. Okay, so, and they're filming episode or season 2 right now. So anyway, but I gotta go and my phone's dying. So you guys have a good afternoon. Hey, Adega, I'll see you later, buddy. And, I will be around in case some news drops that we need to talk about. I'll get back on here and bang the drums more. Anyway, am I still gonna watch Andor? I'm gonna finish watching it because they're still good in it. Stellan Skarsgård. Okay, but I think it's going to start losing what viewers it has because of the shit that went on today. Stephs signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.